Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is this whole business of live streaming and, recording their daily session or whatever time they're trading. And I take really like big issue with this particular part of the situation, because if you do have a person who is live streaming, for example, they're talking about pre-market conditions, forecasts, game plans, or whatever. They're talking about their game plan. They're talking about, hey, I got my coffee, I'm getting ready to trade. I mean, come on, man. Or they're like live streaming weirdo mentality stuff again. Oh, we got vibes, we got this. We're the trading squad or whatever the heck. You're going on there and they're talking about, oh, get your game up, get your mentality up, get your spirit up, your spirit frequency. Look, trading doesn't require you to be religious. It doesn't require you to be holy. It doesn't require you to be black conscious. It doesn't require you to do any of that. Only thing it requires you to do is to be competent. It's a very black and white, cut and dry process. There's nothing about what you, especially after you click buy. Once you click buy and you get into the trade, you're done. That's it. You're done. Now you're either praying or you are strategizing and you are conducting your plan. But there are other live streaming preconditions, forecasts, or they're live streaming mental stuff, live streaming irrelevant stuff, just small talk, live streaming confusing activity, just to look like a fast-paced trader, just to look like they're on the trading floor. I've seen channels that have live streamed their trading, but there's so much stuff going on the chart. You don't even know where their account is, where the account is, where the number is, what's going on. You can't see jack. You're just looking at this moving average, this here, that there. The candle's moving here. He's looking at 5 different charts. He's talking about, oh, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, I'm looking to get in here, or I get in here, or I'm cutting it off there, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. And they're making themselves look like, they just got it going on. They're just so fast paced and so up on their game. They're just in the zone. And meanwhile, you're sitting there confused. Now, that's not necessarily scammy or nothing. Like, everything I just talked about isn't necessarily like wrong per se in terms of due process, but in terms of expectation, there's nothing about what they're doing that all they're doing is just adding another piece of content because they don't have nothing else to add, or whatever they're doing. It's just their little daily routine now. They're just like, okay, I'm gonna just live stream this real quick, just to get some up on YouTube and just whatever. But after that, there's just not much takeaway. There's not much that you're able to take away from that experience, So when it comes to the video sessions, with these characters, they'll video record they'll screen capture their winning trades for promo purposes. So of course you'll only capture the wins, right? You'll only capture the profit stuff. And once again, keep in mind, they're not showing their account level, they're not showing their income level, they're not showing none of that. You got to search, and you're looking around, you're like, okay, you won that trade, but where's your account at right now? That could have been, the first $200 you made today, all week, because they don't want you to see, oh, I started at 8,000, now I'm down to 4,000, because then you're like, whoa, bro, what happened? Like, I thought you was the master. Your account went from 8,000 to 4. What the heck are you doing? So that's what they don't want you to see, and as a result, they'll just pre-record all the wins, no losses, and then they'll pre-record a bunch of indicators that they're not using consistently. I don't know how many times I've seen guys, on the one hand, they got moving averages on there, then all of a sudden they got an Ikomoku, hope I said that right, Ikomoku average, moving average. All of a sudden they got that up. All of a sudden they got an RSI up. All of a sudden they got a stochastic up. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Or whatever. They got Bollinger Bands the next week. It's like, what are we doing? So I don't know how many times I've seen that. So a lot of these guys, or they got a bunch of lines. You just see a whole bunch of crossing lines, horizontal lines, triangle lines. And it's like, dude, last week the chart was clean and it was just moving averages on it. Today, you got all kinds of lasers and lines and stuff going through this chart. So that's the other thing, just lack of consistency. And their video recording inconsistent strategic tactics. 1 minute they're using RSI, next minute they're they're using strategic methods for that, then the next day they're using a strategy for, I don't know, whatever, for support and resistance. All of a sudden the next week is support and resistance. And it's not like you are just plugging in things to your plan. That's different. That's very different. If you have a support and resistance plan and you just so happen to have a moving average involved in there, and then the next week, you have a Bollinger Band, but everything is revolved around support and resistance, then you'll be able to articulate why you are using these pieces. You'll be able to articulate why this week you're using the Bollinger Band instead of the moving average. You'll be able to articulate that, as opposed to you moving every week and you seeing some random ass indicator on the chart. And you're like, dude, well, what is this for now? You know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of those things that are going on when we're talking about recording sessions or live streaming, and it's just like the other video I did talking about why they're not posting their losses, right? These guys are just constantly trying to make themselves look bigger than what they really are, man. I just don't understand it. And even if you are a big player, it's just the whole process period. To me, it's like, why have in your title, why have the headline of, how to, or the best strategy for using the RSI. And then for the next 10, 15 minutes, we're going into hindsight bias and we're going into hindsight information. And then in the hindsight, we're just talking a bunch of gibberish. You could get in here. Oh, but don't get in here. But if you do get in here, make sure you do here, make sure it goes there. And we're not looking at anything in real time. We're not looking at any of your trades in real time, right? And I'm talking about, the pre-recorded stuff. Like, if you're going to record something like me, myself, for example, I'm recording every part of my experience. I'm recording every part of it. Like today, I broke even, and I recorded that, and I showcase why I broke even, what's going on. What was my thought process? What were the conditions of the day? And how I was able to break even in my process. You have to be able to articulate that stuff. And it doesn't take a course to articulate that. Come on, man. Like, it doesn't. It doesn't. You either know what you're talking about or you don't. You either understand you either have a plan for recording your strategy or your session or whatever, or you don't. And a lot of these guys don't. So they go on there, they just like, I just want to show you something real quick. I'm going to show you why, I made $3,000 in 5 minutes. You see that line? It dropped down, and I have the mentality to do it. It's like, it's just a bunch of random stuff that just comes out, and you're just like, bro, like, I thought you were going to show me how you made $3,000 in 5 minutes. You're just talking a bunch of rhetoric and just pointing at a bunch of lines and stuff and saying, hey, when it goes under this line, get in like I did, and you too will make $3,000. And it's just ridiculous. So, these guys, the bottom line is they never live stream relevant information, and they never do a legit video session recording on their live account, okay? And finally, they're not really showing their balance. And I really love the guys who use the excuse of, well, they don't need to be distracted by my account balance. Well, first of all, you're telling people that you can make $5,000, you could turn $200 into $3,000. If that's not distracting enough, the balance is irrelevant at this point, because you just told me you can flip $200 to $3,000. So you're not showing the account at this point. It's like, You've already got me all gassed up anyway, so you might as well show the balance. If you're gonna keep gassing people up, you might as well show the balance. And that's what they don't do. They're not showing the balance. They're not, posting relevant information in their live stream, and they're not posting their video sessions. They're just not. They're not filming a whole session. So that's more helpful and suitable and much more legit than all the other stuff you've been looking at. So anywho, the next thing we're gonna talk about the next video is starting a signal service and using ambiguous elementary strategies to get people to buy into, your little signal stuff. So that's next. Stay tuned.